right, we are back live for another episode of the Dr. Cliff Show. I'm Dr. Cliff Olson, audiologist and founder of Applied Hearing Solutions, and I am joined today by two of my co-hosts.
Yes, my name is Rachael Cook. I am also an audiologist at Applied Hearing Solutions, and we've got a fan favorite on with us today as well.
Hi there, guys. My name is Kelsey Beck. I am the audiology resident at Applied Hearing Solutions, and I am so excited to be co-hosting the episode with you both today. So it's going to be a good one.
Yeah,
what are we
definitely
talking about today?
Well, we are reviewing all things Phonak, and I do want to do a quick warning that we have some pretty nasty weather rolling in right now, and we're not exactly sure what it's going to do to our internet. So if anything gets a little glitchy for a moment, we will be recording this entire podcast, and we'll put it up later on YouTube as well, just in case. But we're going to be reviewing all things Phonak today, starting out with some of... We'll also be talking about how they do connectivity a little bit differently and reviewing all of their accessories in their lineup as well. So make sure, if you haven't already, like and subscribe to the channel so that you never miss any one of our new videos. And if you've got any questions, ask them while you have them, because we will be doing a Q&A section at the end.
Yep, and we'll see if Kelsey can keep up with that, because she's going to be participating today, and she's going to be reviewing your guys' comments. So.
I will do my absolute best. If I am not as responsive live in the chat, I apologize. There's a lot happening over here.
Yes.
Right on. So before we get started, let's go ahead and jump into our first sponsor. So Phonak is a great brand if you need prescription hearing aids, but if you have a mild to moderate hearing loss, then you could be a candidate for over-the-counter hearing aids. Over-the-counter hearing aids are a completely new category of devices for adults with perceived mild to moderate hearing loss as of October of 2022, so we're starting to see more of these products hit the market. This means that you can go online, you can go into a pharmacy, you can even go into your local audiology clinic and purchase a pair of these devices that are now regulated without having a hearing test or having a hearing aid prescription. However, you still have to be careful because not all of these over-the-counter hearing aids are exactly alike. Some of them are better than others, which is why you should check out the Soundwave Centro hearing aids. Soundwave Hearing is headquartered in Oak Brook in my home state of Illinois. They are a receiver-in-canal design, and the AutoTune app you use to program the Centro OTC hearing aids, it does make it possible to customize your own audio settings, and if you're having trouble doing that yourself, you can take this into a hearing care professional locally. And
straight in with the history here. So Phonak as a company was originally founded in 1947, and I am absolutely going to butcher the pronunciation of this, but it was originally founded as AG for Electroacoustic, and you guys should see the spelling on this one. I should have put it up on the screen because the spelling is just hilarious. It's not hilarious if you speak that language, right? But I love the spelling of it. Now in 1960, and that is when the company was actually renamed as Phonak.
And that is still in Switzerland. And I've actually been out to Switzerland. My wife Ashley loves Switzerland. I love it too. It is probably the coolest place on the planet that I've ever been. I'm not talking temperature-wise. I'm just talking like when you look out and you can see snow-capped mountains all the time of the year. It's just the coolest thing ever. Now, in 1994, Phonak did go public, which means they are a publicly traded company. You can look them up online if you want to. And in 2007, Phonak Holding became Sonova Holding. Now, when we think of it in terms of hearing aid manufacturers, a lot of these hearing aid manufacturers have holding groups because there's a lot of different hearing aid brands inside of the one holding group. So under Sonova, you'll have some of the key ones that people are most familiar with is, of course, Phonak. They also have a Unitron. They have Hensiton. They also have a consumer electronic company named Sennheiser that they purchased for $241 million back in 2021. And, you know, with over-the-counter hearing aids obviously being made available, a lot of hearing aid manufacturers, including Sonova, decided that it would be good to have some consumer electronics, you know, insight here, and even creating products for the consumer market as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. They're definitely a big player here, and I think we're going to talk about market share here in just a moment. But their global headquarters are going to be in Zurich. Is it Zurich?
So it's close to Zurich. It's actually Stefa. I can't remember how it's spelled, and you don't spell it how it sounds, right? But in Stefa, Switzerland, it's just right south of Zurich, so very close to Zurich. Everyone thinks of Zurich when they think of Phonak.
Well, and then their U.S. headquarters are in Naperville, Illinois, and I have been there at least.
You've
Haven't
been
been to
there.
Switzerland yet, but I have been to their headquarters in Naperville.
And Naperville is about 30 minutes from where I grew up, and then you probably grew up to some degree close to Naperville as well.
I mean, I definitely grew up closer to the Cubs ballpark, and I honestly couldn't tell you where exactly we lived when we lived in Illinois, but I do remember it fondly as far as going to baseball games frequently. So maybe not so much the geography of the layout in Illinois.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Go Cubs.
Yes, go Cubs.
Okay, so market share, that's what we were about to jump
Yes.
into here. And we've got a graphic for this one, and you can see Sonova is running the game up at the top there. Now, Sonova does include, like you were saying, it's going to be Phonak and Unitron divisions, but I believe that this is this reporting on just Phonak?
This is not reporting on just Phonak,
Okay.
but it's no surprise. I mean, the Sonova brands are
Yeah.
definitely the dominant brands that are out there. If you're someone who's purchasing hearing aids, but you don't stay in one place for very long, there's a higher probability of you purchasing a Sonova product, which would include Phonak, Unitron, and if you happen to move to a different location, different state, different country, chances of there being a company there working with you, it would be higher.
I feel like everybody knows Phonak. Yeah, definitely. Well, let's talk about some of the firsts that they had, because I want to go all the way back to 1950 here, just a few years after electroacoustic was founded. And the first portable hearing aid that they had, we're not even getting close to those ear level devices yet. So they were portable, but they were just kind of pocket-sized, or like we saw last week, purse-sized devices. So the first one we're going to show you here is the Phonak Alpina. And like you were saying earlier, it almost looks like a little cigarette carton or something like that but it's a hearing aid.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they got such a nice-looking photo of that.
I know.
That wasn't taken back in 1950,
No.
I can tell you that. So it's been well preserved since that time.
Digitally remastered.
Yeah, I'm sure. And then the next one is actually probably my favorite product in the history. In 1967, Phonak came out with the Phonak Visation. So they were actually glasses that had the hearing aids on them as well. And so this is really one of the first more ear level devices, which is actually great too, because something that's worn more on the body, like the Alpina, however we've decided that it is pronounced, that is much harder to get at ear level to where it's more similar to how we would hear in the natural world, right?
Yep.
And so having something that's ear level and in the glasses, I just think is really creative. It's really cool.
I wish they kept going with it.
And here's a funny thing. A lot of do you guys experience this? People ask like, "Hey, do you have like hearing aids that will work into my glasses or have
No.
glasses like combo?" I have people ask that fairly frequently.
Really?
I don't think I've ever had someone ask me that. I have had people though who have the glasses that are actually like the bone conduction, like Bluetooth headphones, and those are really cool as well. And I can't help but think that it was probably inspired by these devices from Phonak. So. All in all, a really good start to having those ear level devices from Phonak. And then in 2005, we actually had the invention of the micro power receivers, which is actually the RIC style. So something that's very common nowadays, where you have the one that goes behind the ear, a wire that goes into your ear, and then coupled with an earpiece as well.
Exactly. Now, in 2011, Phonak ended up acquiring a company called Lyric, and we're going to talk about Lyric devices today. They kept the name of the product, so they're still referred to as Lyric, but at present, they're the market's only extended wear hearing aid, which is really, really interesting.
Yep, and Kelsey just fit a pair of Lyrics today.
I did indeed,
We do quite a bit of those in our office.
We do, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
they're
been a
pretty
nice
cool.
product. It's a unique product, and we'll talk about it a little bit more here on the show. But definitely one that it fills a niche, right? So there's certain people who they work fantastic for, other people who want more digital features and stuff like that. But we'll talk again about that here in a little bit. But in 2017, this was kind of Phonak's first attempt at doing direct Bluetooth audio with their hearing aids, because if you guys recall from our previous episodes, 2014 was really the year that we started having made for iPhone technology of Bluetoothing going into both ears at the same time. And so in 2017, they came out with the Audio B Direct, which is a rechargeable and directly streaming device, but it would only stream into one ear.
Right. Yeah, at the time. Obviously, now we're at the point where you can nearly Bluetooth stream anything into both hearing aids at any time. But we've had to come that far.
That's right. That's right.
In just a few years, even.
Yeah,
Because 2017, I mean, that was not that long ago.
Well, that's the thing, but literally, I think it was end of 2018 is when we got dual streaming capability with
this
Phonak.
Stuff moves fast. I think we talk about it all the time, how 5 years in hearing aid land may as well be 500.
Yeah, but if I should say this, the Audeo B Direct was not a very popular hearing aid.
No.
Now, that somewhat predates my creating content about, hearing aids, because that was 2017. I just started the channel in 2017. But I could just tell that there was very little interest out there in the consumer world, even at that time, for that particular product, especially when we already had products that were streaming to 2 ears.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's jump into the receiver-in-canal style hearing aids. The very first talking point that I have here is, whoa, Phonak, slow your roll. And the reason why that we said that was because recently, with the launch of the Paradise platform in 2020?
Paradise was
2019.
So 2018, then 2020, and now we're 2023, basically, or the end of 2022.
Right. So it went Paradise, then they came out with the Audeo Lifes, then they came out with the Audeo Fits, then they came out with the Audeo Lumities, and now we have the Audeo Lumity Lifes as well to add to that lineup. So they've got a lot going on in the receiver-in-canal style
expect
right
5
now.
or 6 more models here this year, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's start off first, I guess, with the most recent model, which is going to be the Phonak Audeo Lumity devices. We've got a graphic here to kind of show you there is the rechargeable version there on the left and the rechargeable version with the telecoil on the left as well. And then over on the far right-hand side, that's going to be that Lumity rechargeable Life device, and that's their waterproof device, and we'll get into that in just a minute.
Yeah, but first I want to complain about those chargers that are there up on the screen.
I know you're itching to complain
right?
about
Like,
them.
I mean, I'm just like, I love Phonak, don't get me wrong, and guys, I apologize if I hurt anyone's feelings over there at Sonova, but the wells where the ear molds and earpieces go into the charger, they are not big enough.
No.
If you have patients who use seashell ear molds, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, either with a canal lock or with a skeleton lock or even a full shell inside of there, they do not fit, and you have to kink them around, and it just doesn't work. If you use rubber domes, they're fine. I get it, but when you're treating hearing loss at a really high level, only a certain percentage of people can use domes, and everybody else has to use a custom ear mold if you want the best performance. But there have been occasions where I'm like, I can't fit you with a Phonak hearing aid because I literally can't get a charger that will fit your ear mold.
Yeah.
Well, and then on top of that, too, if you add in, people who we do treat who have any kind of dexterity issues or playing a game of Tetris every single day to get their ear molds to fit into the wells in the charger, then closing the charger and then you break an ear mold or something like that. I mean, it has caused a couple different issues for us in the clinic, and I'm sure that other audiologists have experienced something very similar to where we're just not able to get effective closure of their easily enough, especially when you consider patients who have a harder time manipulating smaller objects.
Definitely.
And my anxiety is growing because I know that now we're going to be talking about CROS, and I don't want to get started on CROS right now.
Well, it's probably going to be a little bit of a complaint game here for a second because Phonak does have CROS devices, and we were really excited to see the launch of rechargeable CROS devices. Unfortunately, the battery life on these devices, at least for Phonak devices, isn't always the greatest. You can definitely get a day of wear, but it's
like
just
11 hours.
Yeah.
So it depends on who you are. Like, and that's, if you're not doing streaming heavily.
Exactly.
So that's the other problem, is that it's chopping down on your battery life. Now here's the thing. I happen to love how Phonak does CROS.
Yes,
I think that
agreed.
their ability to do CROS is like, wow, this is impressive. But to get a size 13 disposable battery from a CROS device, we have to go back a generation to Paradise because technically CROS isn't even in the new Lumity lineup, and I don't know if it's going to come.
Yep. So that's probably just one of the bones to pick. There's another element to the CROS technology that's also been a bummer, which is the fact that you cannot connect your CROS device and your other compatible hearing aid to the app, which has been a big issue because we do a lot of remote visits in our office as well, and the way that that's completed is through their app, and unfortunately we can't pair those individuals up for those remote visits.
Yeah, and aside from remote visits as well, I mean, having the ability to control your cross balance and things like that. And again, I bring it back a little bit to dexterity issues as well, is that those buttons on the back of the hearing aid, while effective and you can do everything you need to do using them, again, if you have dexterity issues, any kind of neuropathy in your fingers, or even if it's just not something that clicks in your mind, having a visual representation of volume control, of the balance between the CROS system, of the ability to change a program would be life-changing for a lot of people, and so convenient for all of these people. And I have this bone to pick because I've had 3 patients this week who are still waiting on the app that we've been promised for a couple years now. Since I've been in grad school, we've been, and that's a long journey in itself.
So Phonak, please, just fix that problem and we're good. I don't know how to fix it. Don't ask me how to fix it. I'm just saying that that's what I want to
We
be
just
fixed.
want it fixed.
Please
exactly.
and thank you.
Well, what's really nice too is that Phonak hearing aids, if you have 2 Phonak hearing aids, can be programmed as an amp cross. And I'm not going to get too far in depth on what that is right now. If you want to know more about single-sided deafness treatment options, definitely go watch our podcast episode on this. We do an entire podcast episode about single-sided deafness treatment options. But Phonak hearing aids can be programmed as an amp cross. And just as a very quick rundown of what that is, if you have poor hearing in one ear, better hearing in the other ear, and it's kind of undetermined if a hearing aid on that side would be valuable or if it would just be adding more noise in and making it harder to hear and understand. Sometimes an amp cross setup where you're getting sound in that ear, but the sound that goes into that ear is also being routed over to your better hearing ear. That's a great option for individuals that have that type of a loss as well, and that's not something that can be done in all hearing aid manufacturers.
True. And be careful if you want rechargeable hearing aids, because again, the amp cross chews up a lot of battery. You're going to get 10-11 hours worth of battery life if you do amp cross, so consider going with the disposable battery version. But the Lumity lineup of hearing aids does not have a disposable battery version yet, so if you want to do amp cross at all day, and you want to do cross, you have to go back to the Paradise lineup of devices. Now, I still love the Paradise lineup. I still think it has a lot of utility, and if you're like, I really need a disposable battery to do these things, I say, well, jump back a generation. You're still going to be very happy. But I wish that the Lumity had the disposable battery versions, and I do expect at some point in the future they're going to add those.
Right. Just as rechargeable continues to be more of a popular choice in office, we see a lot of manufacturers putting out the rechargeable version well before the battery operated version.
Right,
so it's likely coming. But let's talk about the Audeo Life here for a second. Do we have graphic for this one? Oh yeah, look at that.
That's such a nice graphic.
Yeah. So I know that you know more about this than I do. Tell me why this still has an IP68 rating but is referred to as waterproof.
Yeah, so when you look at the waterproof ratings of hearing aids and other electronic devices, the IP rating is the ingress protection rating. So if you have an IP rating of 6.8, the 6 stands for the debris resistance, and then the 8 stands for the moisture resistance. 6 and 8 is as high as the scale goes. So as long as you're able to meet the minimum requirements to achieve a 6.8, you're considered an IP rating of 6.8, which is very water resistant. But they dramatically exceeded the IP68 minimum criteria. And there are other manufacturers who've exceeded it to some degree, but this is by far the most waterproof hearing aid that I've ever used and tested in my life. I've taken it on trail runs, I've gone swimming in it, I've showered in it, and I can't kill it. And it's the only hearing aid that I have not been able to kill at this point.
That's perfect. I mean, I have a patient that lives in Guam, and that was his main concern, is that his previous devices just kept dying from moisture. We put him in some Lifes. He's doing great. So
yeah, and we have patients all the time that are like, well, I don't wear them when I go outside and work, or I don't wear them when I exercise, and I'm like, well, then we should probably get you into a hearing aid that can handle that, so you can still hear during those activities.
Most definitely. Now, because we're talking about the receiver-in-canal style option, we have a lot of dome options for these devices. So let's take a look at their lineup for different rubber domes on there. Okay. Top row we've got up there, those are going to be the open domes. Those are for individuals with some mild to moderate high frequency hearing loss. Then we get into the middle row there, which has got the vented domes. Those are going to be for someone that needs a little bit more in those highs, or potentially a little bit in the lows as well. Power domes are going to be for much more significant levels of hearing loss. And then we've got the teeny tiny little cap dome down there. And that is still considered an open dome, correct?
Yeah, still an open dome. And the acoustic characteristics of the cap and the open domes are identical. So if you do in-ear measurements with any of those, they're going to be similar. But it does change. The acoustics do change with the rubber dome. And so now my preference of all the domes that are out there, so people always ask me, Cliff, what's your favorite of this? What's your favorite of that? And I'm like, whatever works best for the patient. My personal favorite dome is the open domes from Phonak because of how well they stay in a patient's ear.
They do.
Anything outside of that, I'm like, I usually want to use a retention filament to keep the hearing aids anchored inside of the ears, or I want to go to a custom ear mold. And Kelsey, we had a patient who came in today who they're kind of borderline. Dome or custom ear mold, which one would really be better for this person? So
absolutely. And then the way that we determine that is based on a number of factors. Most importantly, what is the patient willing to wear? Because again, if you're not willing to wear it, it's going to sit in your drawer, and that's not going to be effective. However, we do also give the caveat of, look, there are certain devices that are going to do an open fitting for your type of hearing loss much better than someone else's. And I will say that oftentimes with Phonak, I love their custom ear molds and how well they build the venting in their custom ear molds and how well they actually fit someone's ear based off of the molds or the impressions that you take. And so I do really lean a lot toward, if you've got a steeply sloping loss, but you're still borderline in those low frequencies where we don't want to give you too much bass, I love the custom ear molds for that. It keeps in all of that good clarity of speech and still allows your own voice to escape your ears and things like that. And I just think that they do one of the better jobs of creating custom ear molds for their patients. And so oftentimes, especially with Phonak, I will lean more toward custom ear molds if it's even borderline.
Yeah, and Phonak has their custom ear molds are called seashells, like the letter C with shells after. Very clever, I might say.
Oh, definitely, except that when I say it to patients, I don't think twice about it, and so I'm like, we're going to get you some seashells ordered, and they're like, contextually,
you're crazy.
Can you hear the ocean through them?
Yeah. Exactly. Well, there's generally two styles of these seashells. So acrylic, I would say, is the most common one that we're doing in office, and we have a graphic of that as well. So that just shows that this is a custom molded tip, and it is individualized to your own ear using a silicone impression. Yep. And we also have the titanium options of these as well. And those are really great for individuals that just can't stop breaking their acrylic molds.
That's right. Or they like to smash them with hammers like I did in my video showing these a couple years ago, actually, when they first came out with them. But, one of the big reasons that I like the seashell ear molds is really, like Kelsey, you said, the acoustically optimized venting. So Phonak actually will take the audiogram that we send into them, and they'll look at the contour and shape and size of the ear canal, and they'll determine with a calculation, looking at 4 different variables, what is the exact right vent size for this person that will mitigate the occlusion effect, so the sound of their own voice, that will allow us to hit high frequency prescriptive targets, and that will reduce the risk of feedback or whistling with the hearing aids. And I just think that Phonak, they've really got it locked in on the ear mold side, which makes it very pleasant and enjoyable for us to work with ear molds with a Phonak branded hearing aid.
Oh, most definitely. Now we get into something that's a little proprietary to Phonak as well, which was the addition of their ActiveVent receivers. These were so interesting. I think the idea is so cool. That's a graphic of it up there. Obviously, it's a little bit larger than a standard receiver, and you can see that they have it paired with the titanium slip over the top of it, a slim tip for that ActiveVent receiver. But what's so cool about these ActiveVent receivers is that oftentimes we have individuals with mild to moderate, high frequency hearing loss that would benefit from being in an open fit type of dome. However, a lot of times when individuals get into these noisy background noise environments, because the ear canals aren't blocked off entirely, a lot of that background noise kind of sneaks its way in there. And the digital noise reduction features within the hearing aid aren't able to be utilized to their full capacity. And they came up with a receiver that can do both at the same time.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, actually.
It
so
is.
They call it ActiveVent because it actively opens and closes based on the environment that you're in or whether you're streaming or not streaming. So when you go into a background noise situation, we have data that very heavily supports this, that the directionality of the hearing aids being able to block out sounds from behind you is much better when you close off the ear canal. You can also employ more digital noise reduction for that background noise if you can prevent that noise from coming into the ear canal. And so whenever you get into a noisy situation, you can either activate it yourself or it can be automatically activated in the hearing aid programming to close shut Now it makes a little snapping sound. It's a little bit startling the first couple times that you hear it, but as you wear the hearing aids, you don't even notice that anymore. And it essentially forces all of the sound to go through the processing of the hearing aid, and it improves your ability to understand speech and background noise. But what about when you want to stream music? What happens?
I love this for streaming, and I think we have a graphic too, or a video of it.
The combination of an Audio Paradise rechargeable hearing device with an ActiveVent receiver means that clients can enjoy the comfort of an open fitting when they want it, but enjoy the combination of an Audio Paradise rechargeable hearing device with an ActiveVent receiver means that clients can enjoy the comfort of an open fitting when they want it, but enjoy the combination of an Audio Paradise rechargeable hearing device.
You know, the biggest complaints that I have gotten from patients who have that open fit when I'm streaming, I still feel like I'm not getting all of the music in ears, or people on the phone are still sometimes really hard to hear because you're not getting enough of the bass tones, and this solves that problem for someone who ideally needs to be an open fit. So it really is the best of both worlds, both from a streaming perspective and then also from in background noise as well.
So you do have to have, like you were saying, it has a slim tip custom ear mold. So you do have to get an ear mold impression sent off to Phonak so they can make it custom for you, because remember, they do have generic tips for this, but you have to really make sure that you get a good solid fit of that ear mold in your ear. Otherwise, you're going to create little leaks of that sound, and then the opening of the closing of the vent it really doesn't matter at that point. So you really have to make sure that you get a solid ear mold impression. They only come in titanium, so you get the highest graded technology, very hypoallergenic for those as well. So those typically work out really well for people.
Right,
so.
definitely.
All right, guys, we're going to continue talking about the Phonak lineup. Now, today we are talking all about Phonak, but if you missed our second episode 2 weeks ago talking about ReSound's product lineup, they have a new platform called Omnia. The new platform by ReSound is specifically designed to help you understand speech and background noise better, which is pretty much what everybody wants their hearing aid to allow them to do. So their new front focus feature provides up to a 4.5 decibel signal-to-noise ratio improvement compared to their previous generation technology, and I'm only talking one generation ago. The 4.5 decibel improvement is a massive jump when you consider that every 1 decibel of improvement in signal-to-noise ratio actually improves your ability to understand speech by 5 to 10%. So you're starting to look at about a 50% improvement there in ability to understand speech and background noise. Now, ReSound has expanded their Omnia platform because Omnia's been out for a little while now, and people have been really happy with it. And now it includes their Customs by ReSound, so custom molded hearing aids, as well as their new mini receiver in the ear for everyone who wants a really small hearing aid behind their ear. And then they also have all of their behind the ear styles as well that now uses that Omnia platform, so it's fantastic. Now you get to experience this groundbreaking technology from ReSound in whatever style hearing aid that you prefer. So for more information, go to resound.com or check out my ReSound Omnia review on YouTube.
Okay, so we are going to be moving into the behind the ear hearing aids here. Now, again, I just want to mention that we may have some intermittent internet things going on here because we do have a storm coming in. So if you see any glitch in the feed, just know that it's all being recorded and it'll be available later.
You think we're going to get stranded here?
I hope not.
Man, like I don't think it's like snow in Phoenix, right? We're not going to have like 4 feet of snow.
Well, it's not, but I can hear it pounding down. If you listen for a second, you can hear it.
No kidding?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh no. Well, oh no.
Wish us well. I mean, we're roughing it over here.
Yeah, totally, sure. Totally roughing it. Well, let's get into the behind the ear hearing aids now. So Phonak has a bunch of different behind-the-ear hearing aids, and their most recent platform is going to be the Paradise platform. We've got 2 different styles that I wanted to show you on a graphic here for that. We've got the NAIDA PPR, so that's the first P stands for Paradise, and then the second P stands for Power, and then the R stands for Rechargeable. So that was a really nice addition to the lineup there, having a rechargeable behind-the-ear style. A lot of companies are finally getting that rechargeable behind the ear. And then over on the right hand side, that is a battery powered device. That is the Paradise UP, and that stands for an ultra power device. And so really just the size that you're going for is going to depend heavily on the amount of hearing loss that you have. I have many patients that would love to go with a rechargeable behind the ear style hearing aid, but unfortunately, given the amount of hearing loss that they have, that's just not feasible, and they're going to need to be in an ultra power style that takes a 675 battery.
Yeah, and those 675 batteries last like 2 weeks.
They do.
So like there's definitely
forever.
pros of going with the 675 battery
definitely. There. Now, if you need a super power, which falls right in the middle of these two, right between a power and an ultra power, you'll have to actually go back to the Marvel platform for that.
That's right. So now here we are again, jumping back in platforms to get certain features or types of hearing aids that you would want to get. Now, there's something to be said, and I think that we should kind of rehash this, which is you can technically go with a Lumity hearing aid, a receiver-in-canal hearing aid, and get either a power receiver on it or an ultra power receiver on that. So you technically don't have to get one of these BTE size 13 tubes with a custom acrylic ear mold inside of your ear. You could go with a receiver-in-canal still, but there are certain individuals who just do better with BTE hearing aids. You know, there's concerns with if there's active drainage coming out of your ears that you can't get rid of. You don't want to put electronics like a receiver inside of the ear canal. You want to have more of a behind the ear style hearing aid. And then when you start looking at it from an ultra power standpoint, I mean, you will not get any more amplification that you can possibly get with an ultra power behind the ear hearing aid.
Oh, definitely. Now, what's really nice about their behind the ear hearing aids is that we talked about this in our cochlear implant episodes, but Advanced Bionics and Phonak actually partner together, and they actually have the only fully synchronized bimodal system on the market. So their Naida Link is a behind the ear hearing aid that is then compatible with their processor on the other side, so that individuals that have gone through with cochlear implantation on one side can still wear a compatible hearing aid on the other side and have anything that they're listening to or streaming even go into both ears and be processed digitally in both ears.
Yeah, and Kelsey, I think we even have a graphic for this one as well.
Yeah, we do have a graphic for the two of them, and again, those two do in fact talk to one another. They also do have some communication while you're live listening as well, so the benefits don't only stop at streaming, because the cross compatibility between both ears is something that their hearing aids have, and it's also now available in the cochlear implant with the Naida Link as well.
Hold on, I would like to urge people, that graphic that we had is a little on the older side, so go to advancedbionics.com and you can see what the newest model of that looks like.
And we do actually have another graphic of actually the Sky model, which is for technically the kids, so they do come in more fun colors. However, those are the actual, that's what the look of the newer models and the adult ones look like as well. They just come in the more hair color, skin tone colors that we're more accustomed to when treating adult patients as well. But the really fun colors, honestly, for any age would really pique my interest.
I was going to say, like, have you ever had patients who are like, you know, I want fun colors, and you're like, well, we can go with the little kid line.
Honestly, and again, there's not, not giving up and really anything by going with the little kid line. If the fun colors are something that you're really interested in, so make sure that if you want a fun colored hearing aid, ask your provider.
Because what are your other options? You could put stickers on your hearing aids. Yeah, absolutely.
I like the accessories from Deaf Metal.
Deaf Metal,
if you've never seen those, they're essentially like they have earrings that you could wear that also attach. They're also really good for retention, but they'll kind of accessorize your hearing aid or your cochlear implant as well. And so really good resource if you're wanting to bling up your hearing devices.
Yeah. There's a follower that I have on social media. I think her name's Janelle Kamara or something like that. She does the coolest designs on her hearing aids. It's really cool.
She has a whole tackle box, literally, of different like skinnets for the sides, coils that go around her receivers or her tubing. Her ear molds are always crazy colors. I mean, she just really does good at accessorizing. Well,
she's proud of her hearing aids. You know, they've dramatically changed her life, and she doesn't see any stigma associated with her hearing loss, which I agree. I don't think that she should, and so she's using that as a fashion statement, which I appreciate.
And here's the thing: if you have to wear it every single day, why not love it?
Yeah,
that's right.
True that. If I was in hearing aids, I promise you they would be hot pink. I promise you.
You go the hot pink ones?
Yeah, I'm going hot pink. Okay. I'm going hot pink for sure. Okay, well, let's get into their custom lines because we also do a lot of their customs in our office, and we really, really like them. They're great products. So let's take a look at the full lineup of the custom products here. So you can see we have really, really small ones all the way up to really, really big ones, and depending on dexterity concerns and power concerns, that's really going to determine which style or which size rather that you're going with. Also, if Bluetooth connectivity is important to you, then that's only going to be available in a certain style and up from there, or certain size and up from there.
And they usually bring these out generations behind. So, we just got upgraded basically to the Lumity lineup. All of those, we call them the Verto line, which are all the custom in-ear products from Phonak. I do appreciate how they kind of name them different things to kind of, and they're consistent with it as they go along. But the Verto P, or the Verto Paradise lineup, that's where they're at with their custom in the ear. At some point, I imagine, probably not for a little while, because it usually takes them a year or so, they'll come out with a Verto Lumity lineup, I presume. I can't remember if they've ever skipped generations of that, but...
I don't think they skipped them, but it definitely takes them longer to come out with the custom lineup than it does the behind the ear or the RIC, rather, because the RICs are really the most popular type of device that are on the market because they're so versatile and because they are really invisible. No matter how you couple them, even with an acrylic ear mold, if you go with a transparent one, I mean, it's still really difficult to see them. So, but all that being said, my statement actually earlier about their custom ear molds also holds true for their custom lines as well, for their Verto lines of hearing aids as well. We really do get an excellent fit of the devices. The custom product itself fits the ear really well. Again, their acoustically optimized venting is also still great in these devices as well. And so that statement holds true for any of their custom formed products.
Even their tiny titanium ones.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Because we had the titanium for the seashells, and we had the titanium for the ActiveVent receivers, and we got the titaniums in the customs.
Yeah, these are the OGs. This is where it originally came out with the titanium, because they wanted to make a shell that was thinner to make it smaller to go further inside of the ear canal and to make it more durable. And so obviously titanium is going to be much stronger than what your acrylic's going to be.
Absolutely. And speaking of the durability, I literally had someone run their titanium in the ear device over with their car, a big old diesel truck. And it survived. Not a crack, not anything. So that was a really cool story that I just had to plug in there. But I do really like the titanium devices.
Oh, yeah. Let's see if we've got the graphic of them, because they are really, really small. Obviously, they look big on the screen. But these are easily, if someone says, like, I want the invisible in the canal, I want the teeniest, tiniest... We're going titanium.
For sure. And when you look at the black faceplate, a lot of people are like, well, aren't you just going to see that black faceplate in there? Wouldn't you want flesh tone? The problem with flesh tone is that when you look into someone's empty ear canal, you see a black hole.
Yeah.
And so if you have a black faceplate on that, it just looks like you're looking into someone's regular ear canal. So that's...
Exactly.
And they do make them skin tone as well. So if you're like, nah, I just really feel more comfortable making it flesh tone, you can do that too.
Right. No, they have, we have the larger size up from those, the half shells that have the Bluetooth connectivity. And a lot of those, you can get those with the black faceplates as well. Gives them a little bit more of like a techie earbud type of look. And I have quite a few patients that have gone forward with these, and they love them.
That's another one of those things where you're like, you know what? I want to be either proud of my hearing aids, or I want people to, when they look at my ears, or think I'm just wearing an earbud all the time. So.
I feel like people might run into like when you're streaming music and people think you're listening to like your AirPods, they just don't talk to you. Yeah. I wonder if people have run into that with the black devices as well.
I've asked my patients about that, and
does that happen?
They said, well, I had one patient that said just one person was just constantly avoiding him ever since he got his hearing aids, and he's like, what did I do? What did I do? And she's like, I just thought you were listening to stuff through headphones. And he's like, no, these are my new hearing aids. So only once have I heard that story.
Okay.
That's funny. We're gonna make me be the bearer of bad news again, but
as always,
why don't they have rechargeable in the custom in the ears at this point? I mean, I understand, like, it does make devices typically bigger when you have to put a lithium ion battery inside of there, but they're putting a strong push for the receiver-in-canal hearing aids to be all rechargeable. You'd like to see them come out with a model that at least has the ability to be made rechargeable.
You know what? I just wonder if they are concerned about being a major pain in the behind, because what happens when you get a custom product, generally there's some form of potentially vanity there, right? Where they're saying, I want an in-the-canal device. With that comes the idea that they want it to be as small as possible. But when you have a rechargeable battery, the size gets bigger. And I just wonder, with other companies like Starkey, like Signia, like ReSound, that do have these rechargeable customs, how often are they getting remakes for build smaller, build smaller, build smaller? And they're like, we can't build smaller. We cannot.
The technology does not exist yet.
It doesn't allow for it. Yeah. So I just wonder if they're just waiting until the technology does allow for it before taking that leap, because I can nearly guarantee that those other manufacturers do struggle with that.
It's either that or Elon Musk is taking all the lithium, right?
You know what? We should get him in on hearing aids.
Yeah, let's just, you know what? Hey, you know what, Chris? Can you just call up Elon Musk and get him on the show so we can ask him these questions about rechargeable batteries? Thank you.
He said he's on it. Perfect. Okay, well, I think it's time for another sponsor segment. Do you agree?
Yep.
Okay, well, today I want to talk to you guys about Eiosera. So, water in ears can be a problem. Swimming, showering, taking a bath, whatever it may be. And kids especially seem to be a little bit more susceptible to end up with nasty outer ear infections, such as swimmer's ear. So you need to find a way to dry your ears out. And luckily, Eiosera just came out with a brand new product called the Ear Clear MD. This is a portable, rechargeable ear dryer. So cool. They use warm, gentle airflow for easy drying of the outer ear canals. Just goes in, runs a little dry cycle in your ears, takes about 60 seconds on each side. I love the fact that it is rechargeable at the moment. Other products that are on the market that do this as well are only available with disposable batteries, so just the ability to plug that in and take it with you wherever. Yeah, good for adults, good for kids, good for everybody. Now, they have an entire lineup of comprehensive ear care products. They have their Ear Wax MD, their Ear Itch MD, their Ear Pain MD. They even have things like cameras and their Wax Blaster Pro MD. And they happen to have their products in 26,000 retail locations across the country as well. But if you want more information about Eiosera's entire lineup of ear care products, make sure you go to eiosera.com to check them out.
So I do a lot of review videos of different hearing aids, and I wear them and I test out the features. And I find myself that when I get out of the shower in the morning, I wait to put the hearing aids in because I know that my ears are wet. And I totally understand that patients will cut down on the amount of usage time of their hearing aids because they're waiting for their ears to dry after swimming or showering. It would be much easier just to dry your ear canal out using that. And then you can get your hearing aids right back in your ears.
Yeah, plus if you're someone that has those really occlusive custom ear molds, it is hard for your ears to kind of vent out and dry out during the day because it has something in them blocking them up. So for my individuals that do wear like a full shell acrylic mold with just like a pressure vent in it, I do have them get this product so that they can dry their ears out in the morning and at night, just to make sure that they don't develop any sort of fungal or bacterial infections, things like that.
Right on, right on. Okay, so now back to Phonak and what they've got. The Lyric hearing aid is one of the most unique hearing aids that anyone will ever work with, at least this day and age, because it's an extended wear hearing aid. It's a hearing aid that your hearing care professional will put inside of your ear canal. They will leave it there for 2 months at a time, and then you'll go back to their office and they'll pull that device back out of your ear and exchange it with a brand new one. And we actually have a graphic of what this looks like here. There you go. So it's that little yellow device, and it actually is placed about 4 millimeters away from your eardrum. So it has a very low requirement for the amount of amplification it needs to create, which is how that battery can last for 2 months at a time. And what we typically say is that there's some patients who absolutely love this, and then there's some patients who are like, I want to go back to my digital.
Yep. And it's generally a very stark contrast between the two. Love it or hate it. The people that love it are diehard fans. The people that hate it are like, never again.
Now, there are some contraindications to using these devices as well, though, so you have to watch out for those.
Yeah, anytime you have anybody who has, so diabetes is not technically a contraindication, but if it's not well managed and there are bleeding concerns, that's a concern. If you're someone who skydives for a living or any kind of thing like that, you want to make sure that you're not probably not a great candidate for that because it's something that you cannot wear while skydiving or scuba diving or anything like that. To be fair as well, if you are someone who does have a lot of moisture inside your ears as well, that could very quickly kill off one of those batteries as well, because unfortunately, like all other hearing aids, moisture is the death of these hearing aids. And so we really want to make sure that we have someone whose ear is actually capable of housing the device both in size and in the actual climate of their ear as well.
Yeah, I want to be careful if you're on blood thinners. Like you don't want to use it if you're on blood thinners, because sometimes the wax can kind of adhere to the device and your ear canal, and when you pull it, you might have a little bit of bleeding there. And if you can't stop the bleeding, well, then you're a goner, right? But you also don't want to take and get an MRI while you're wearing one of these things, because there is metal inside of the device. But there's one huge benefit of these, other than being able to wear them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which actually goes into the tinnitus side of things.
Yeah, definitely. So for individuals who need some of that additional auditory stimulation to help keep the perception of their tinnitus reduced, what's nice about this device is it's a 24/7 wear device. So with a daily wear hearing aid, you would be taking that device out at night, whether to charge it or just to open up the battery doors. Not always the most comfortable to sleep in. With Lyric devices, they stay down in there. You wear them when you're sleeping, and even just that slight amount of additional auditory stimulation can make a really big difference in tinnitus perception.
Yeah, so really unique device. And
wonderful. The other thing too about the 24/7 hearing, and actually this goes back to the patient that I literally fit with these devices today, is that her daughter had come in with her, and she's actually going to be watching the patient is going to be watching her granddaughter for a week next week. And one of the concerns that actually came up later was safety concerns. She had been at the grocery store with one of these children and had run into the street, and she couldn't hear this child running into the street. And the sigh of relief that this woman's daughter had today was just incredible to watch. And then obviously the patient's reaction, I mean, she almost brought me to tears during this fitting today. There really can be a very life-changing device with that 24-hour hearing, alarms going off in the middle of the night, safety concerns, hearing the phone in case of emergencies. I mean, there really are a lot of benefits to having a device like that you can wear 24/7.
Yeah, Lyric device is really an incredible device, and it's something that not everybody has them, so you have to find a clinic that actually works with Lyric. And once you find them, you can typically go and do a trial of them, because again, they work for about 75% of people. That's the data that we have on that, versus prescription hearing aids that are like the digital devices rather, that have, at least in our clinic, like 99% success rate.
Right, definitely. Now, from a connectivity standpoint, with the most recent platform of the Lumity devices, as well as the Verto Paradise line, these devices can actually be hooked up to 8 different mobile devices at the same time. Now, they would only be able to do active pairing to 2 devices at one time, which means if you're hooked up to, let's say, a TV connector and your cell phone, let's say you're watching your show at home, get a phone call, it will switch over, let you take that phone call through the hearing aids, and then switch back to your TV connector after that phone call, which is awesome. But it will save the connection to 6 other devices at the same time. So if you decide to turn your Bluetooth off on one device and switch over to another one, you're not going through that full pairing process again from top to bottom.
Yeah, and they use Bluetooth Classic, which is what allows them to connect to almost anything. So you don't have to just have Apple products. You can connect to Apple devices. You can connect to Android devices. You can connect to, a laptop, desktop, PC, whatever it may be, and stream audio into both of your hearing aids with that. And it's really nice to be able to connect to multiple devices and have multiple concurrent connections at one time, because you don't have to worry about turning off Bluetooth and like turning it on and be like, okay, what device did I leave the Bluetooth turned on? I can't even find it. And now I can't stream from this other one that I want to. So it really solves a lot of that issue.
I think too, again, that convenience factor, but then also too, if you are not the most tech savvy of individuals, having to go back and forth can be really aggravating, and it can be confusing. And so it definitely simplifies it both for the user and then for us too, while we're teaching people how to use said device. I mean, I think most people have it paired to 2, maybe 3, but then you have super techie people who are also paired to all 8 devices all at the same time. So that's really cool. On top of that, they also have a really great app. in my opinion, to control the hearing aids. And so again, you do have things like volume control, but you also have things that you can, change the directionality of your microphones and narrow that up a little bit. You can also increase some noise block or noise reduction capabilities. And so you can have something very simple where you just have the interface where you go up and down in volume and you can change your program, or you can go really in depth with it if you're a really big audiophile, for example, and you really want to have a lot of control over the hearing aids and what they're doing. They give you that option, which is really lovely from a person like myself who loves to tinker with things.
And even though you can't do remote sessions with your hearing care professional with CROS devices, you can use it if you're either unilaterally implanted or implanted. I said we're not talking cochlear implants here. So if you have one hearing aid or two hearing aids, you can do that remote session with your hearing care professional right from the app itself.
Right.
And in my opinion, that is the most seamless version of integration with that feature. So if you're going to a hearing care professional in a different state, or you're traveling out of state and you want to have a remote session with your hearing care provider, then they have the best remote care, in my opinion.
Definitely. Now, they also have an entire lineup of different accessories. So let's take a look at those accessories. So they have their Roger system, which is an FM system. Basically, these Roger devices are awesome. You can use them in so many different ways. Up on the far left-hand side of the screen, we've got the touchscreen mic. These are used very commonly in school systems, so multiple children being able to link up to the same device. We also see in the top middle, we've got the partner mic there. That's not part of the Roger platform. That's just for the standard Phonak partner mic, but awesome, awesome device for individuals that have a hard time hearing just one person, such as their spouse across the house. We've got the Roger pen on the right-hand side. Right in the middle, we've got the Roger Select IN. That one's pretty awesome. That's a table microphone that also doubles as a TV connector and then triples as a partner mic as well. We got the TV connector in the lower left-hand corner there. That one's pretty dang popular in our office. And the Roger On, which is kind of a mixture between the Roger Select IN in the middle and the Roger Pen, like a combo device.
Yeah, totally. And you can stream audio from all of those wirelessly directly into your Phonak hearing aids as long as you have the Marvel, Paradise, or Lumity line of devices. So those are really, I think, game changers for a lot of people. If you struggle in background noise and you're not happy with your performance with your hearing aids that have been fit and programmed properly, you have to go and get some type of a remote microphone, whether it's the partner mic, a Roger mic, what have you, and then direct streaming from your TV. Like, once people try that, they do not go back.
There's no going back.
I literally had somebody come in today saying, my TV connector is no longer working. Please fix it because I'm trying to listen to the TV in my normal program and it sounds fine. And he goes, I'm just so spoiled because I love the way the TV connector sounds. It's crystal clear. So like you said, probably by far one of the most popular devices that we tell people that that would be appropriate for them all the time. Easy. And is very well beloved. I don't think we've had very many people try them and bring them back again. It really spoils you.
Yeah, for sure,
never happens.
So, like I mentioned before, I love Phonak hearing aids. They're one of my favorite hearing aids to fit if you look at all the different brands that are out there. But it doesn't matter unless you have a hearing care professional who fits and programs these devices following best practices. And this is why I started my Hearing Up provider network. This is a network of professionals across the United States and some in Canada now that will follow comprehensive best practices when selecting, fitting, and programming your hearing aids. So if you want to make sure that you're getting the maximum amount of benefit from your devices, you need to make sure that you go to a best practice provider, and one of the easiest ways to do that is go to hearingup.com and search in your local area. All right, so we've got questions. Now, Kelsey, I'm wondering, like, I know that you've been participating in this. I have no idea if we've been getting any questions or if you've been able to even monitor it in any way. What is my mother saying on there? That's what I want to know.
Well, your mother loves me, is what I have to say. So thank you, Mrs. Olson. But that being said, I've been trying my best to keep up with the comments. So again, I'm sorry that I have not been as active in my responses, especially to those who have questions that are not necessarily about Phonak. I'm usually really good at fielding those off-topic questions as well. But that being said, we do have a fair amount of comments today regarding the different hearing aids that Phonak has. And so the first one that I have is sorry there. Sorry, I Someone submitted a comment at the same time I was trying to read it, and my computer froze.
Oh, there you go. We'll blame the weather.
Yeah,
that's the weather.
It honestly probably is the weather and the internet connection. This question was raised by a discussion at the beginning. For full-time eyeglass wearers, what is the most accommodating hearing aid embodiment? I love the language in this question.
Embodiment. You don't hear that often.
No, definitely not.
I mean, you can wear receiver-in-canal devices. You can wear behind-the-ear devices. But if you're asking the best that wouldn't interfere with glasses at all, you're going to get some form of in-the-ear device. So in this case, one of the Verto products.
Yeah, or even Lyric at that point in time, too.
Yeah. Right.
The thing, though, is that, again, we have plenty of people who wear glasses, thick frames, full-time. And the receiver-in-canal styles, the ones that still have a piece that go behind your ear, they don't really interfere all of that much. I think the bigger challenge through the last few years has been more the face masks with that type of a device, but overall the glasses have not really interfered all that much. And again, the best hearing aid too will also be determined on what type and configuration your hearing loss is as well, because let's just say you do have glasses but an in-the-ear device is absolutely inappropriate for your hearing loss. It's a game of trade-offs, and you have the right to decide which one you'd like to go with. But yeah, the one that interferes the least would be something that goes completely in the ear.
It's also easier to have the arms of your glasses adjusted by your optometrist or optician to where they're not interfering with the glasses as well.
Agreed.
Or with the hearing aids as well.
Agreed.
This isn't more of an update rather than an actual question, but this comes from Scott Frink. He was actually on our show a few weeks ago. Another audiologist up in Oregon, I believe.
Yeah, Portland area. Oh, no, Salem, Oregon.
Salem, Oregon, yeah. He says that he has been informed that the cross pairing for the app is likely coming out in April.
Heyo.
Whoa.
He also then says, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Again, we've been waiting for quite a while, but that is the comment that he has left, so I would like to share that as well.
Build us up to break us down?
A little bit.
I feel like he did.
But you know what, though? It's a little bit on brand, but we love Scott, so it's okay. Okay. I have just gone to go and get my hearing tested, and I have a bilateral sensory neural hearing loss. And my speech recognition is 93 and 97%. What should I be looking for to help me out?
First of
all,
we both looked at each other. They must have tested 100 words on this individual. But I can't for the life of me see why. Well, 93 and 97?
The reason we're all shaking our heads in confusion is because each word that you're tested on is worth 2 percentage points. And
two or four, depending on how many words are tested.
But it's an even number, and so that is why we're all scratching our heads just to some degree.
The only way to get an odd number is to test 100 words per ear, and then if you're up in the 90s, like, you're sitting there for I don't know how many minutes. You're like, okay, like I'm getting all of these right.
Say the word ball. Yeah. Say the word cat. Say the word everything. It's like at 90 by that point, I would be like, you know what? You're good. You're probably good. We'll do a 50-word list.
Eventually we'll get to answering this question, but for the meantime, we're like, what is going on?
Yeah, back to the question.
Yeah, so the question is, what should I be looking for in a hearing aid to help you out? I think the simple answer that we can give at this point is that those are the scores that you should be getting in quiet, and then as long as your hearing care professional has taken the time to really understand what your wants and needs are, and to have a full understanding of what the configuration of your hearing loss is, they will be able to give you their best recommendation. And then again, as long as they are following comprehensive best practices, using tools like real ear verification, making sure you're matching your prescription, you will do really well. I mean, at least in a quiet environment. I don't know if they tested this individual in noise or
that's
anything.
what I was going to say. Nearly with any manufacturer, so long as they're following best practices, they should be able to knock that out of the park for you.
Yeah, and let's give an example. So let's say someone has severe to profound hearing loss. All of the X's and O's are on the bottom part of the graph. You don't want to fit that person with an invisible in-the-canal hearing aid because there's no way that you're going to meet the prescriptive targets for that individual with real ear measurement, and I don't care how much money you spent on the hearing aid, you're not going to be able to accomplish that. On the other hand, if you have someone with a mild to moderate high-frequency sloping hearing loss, or normal sloping to moderate hearing loss, you're not going to want to fit them with something that's really occluding or blocking off their ear canals. You want to keep the ear canal as open as possible, let the natural low frequencies come in through the open